Hi, I want to talk about the recent events and what happened in Beirut and getting some conclusions or some forecasts for the future. Uh, One of the things that was very interesting about the Beirut explosion was the scale and the amount of destruction that followed. And some would say that this was almost like an amount of destruction a nuclear bomb would create. But also it had ramification that many people, many countries in the region, and also outside of Israel and Middle East, they're going to come to this conclusion that they cannot live with Israel. Just like the Europeans and other countries outside of even Europe came to the conclusion that they cannot live with Hitler, they cannot live with Nazis, they have to destroy them at all costs. Uh, this, uh, this is a similar conclusion. And also, when afterwards, I we saw that many countries, even countries that are against Muslims or against Hezbollah or they favor Israel, they turn around completely 180 degrees and they started offering humanitarian aids and money. It was like countries, faraway countries as Canada, um, European countries, or the Muslims, the Iranians, they all offer sympathy, and also I think the reconstruction will follow. But even far away places like places that are politically on the far end from whatever Hezbollah or Iranians are practicing. Even Trump came around and said that he thinks that this was an explosion or a bomb and wasn't really um, a natural kind of explosion. Anyhow, later on, the reports came out that there had been Israeli fighters that came in and they shot at the depot for different explosives that they had. Well, the conclusion that I would draw is that Israel will continue these acts of aggression and they will continue creating tremendous losses for other countries, including nuclear attacks or things that are similar in scale to a nuclear attack. So I think that there will be a really counterattack. I mean, I think one of the reasons that Iran and Hezbollah haven't initiated a very large scale operation against Israel is because they don't want to get into a tit for tat. They want to kind of knock Israel out completely. Like there's so much firepower already in there. They want to just put a complete end to it. And Israel itself isn't really fighting Hezbollah, or it could not deal with the firepower or the amount of personnel that's on her northern border. But I think that the retaliation might become nuclear because Israel has been so persistently pursuing many nations. And another thing that was very interesting was that the Russians came out and showed support for Lebanon, and I'm guessing that there will be Chinese military base in that area, or there will be reconstruction by Chinese companies or Chinese government. Also, I heard that the, they might get huge loans, uh, like half a billion or a billion to reconstruct the same port. I think many countries will open up their coffers. You know, the big checkbook will come out, and Lebanon is going to get tremendous amount of money, either for reconstruction, or Hezbollah might get her own check. But well, I think we are very overdue for an invasion of Israel, and I would say it would happen any day, or or it might be coordinated with several countries, some openly, some secretly. I, maybe Yemen, Ansarullah, Iran, Hezbollah, and regular military from Lebanon, some, not a lot, uh, followed by support, air and logistic supports from Russians, and also supply and logistics from Chinese. Uh, Military technology in Russia or in China is far ahead of the United States. I don't know if Israel is allowed to do anymore, or Israel really sealed her own fate. Well, uh, I do believe that there will be nukes. Nukes will go off against Israel, and uh, nukes will go off against the United States, because they have been so ruthless against other countries. And I think that's interesting is that when a country comes under like a nuclear or same scale as a nuclear attack, for example, attack on Hiroshima, or attack on in Afghanistan where United States exploded mother of all bombs, which is the same scale as a nuclear attack, or now the attack in Beirut. There is a reaction in humanity that they just it's like humanity is just gonna override her own political objectives or what she wants to do, and we just turn around and show support. Uh, Many historians condemn United States for using nukes in Hiroshima, and I think future history shows that the humanity, certainly the intellectual part of humanity, totally condemns Israel, and this act is really the very end, or really sealing of the fate for Israel and Zionism. Uh, the only point that I want to emphasize at the end of this video is that uh, basically Israel sealed her own fate, and many countries will come to the conclusion, or have come to the conclusion, that they cannot live with Israel or Zionism, and they have to get rid of it at all costs. Well, thank you very much for being my YouTube channel, and please subscribe and leave your comment. Don't be shy. Have a nice day.